Hello everyone, welcome to join our training. This is session 3, Sundray Smart Switch Function Demonstration. This training has 4 parts. First one, net edge security. Second one, wired authentication. Third one, stack configuration. Fourth one is high-end core switch. First thing is network edge security. For this part, we have three part. First one is endpoint security. Second one is east to west traffic security. And last one is intelligent alerting. So for the end security, first one is the endpoint standard monitoring. For this one, our smart switch can monitor the switch standards of the switch port, including the devices that are connected to its port, if it's online or offline, and also what kind of the devices is connected. So this function can be used in following scenario. First one, the IT manager want to know the types of the equipment that connected to their network and need to be able to think it intuitively. Second one is a server or important terminals devices that are connected to the network, and the IT needed to monitor its standards in real time. So in this scenario, we can use this Sundry endpoint standards monitoring features. So how we configure it? Just go into the endpoint security. This one is in our edge secure edge secure security centers. Choose the end security and then wired access security. You enter the policy. In this policy, you choose the port that needed to do the monitoring, and then enable this function. And also for the port group, you also can configure in the um, switch management centers. Uh, in the endpoint standard monitoring, here you can see the devices distribution, the disconnections of devices, how many times it's connected, and on what at what time it's connected. And also you can see the migration trends for the devices. It's moved from one port to another port. It also you can show you the active endpoint. In active points, it can show in here that if there, for example, you have 10 devices, that the 2 devices is offline already more than 5 days, it will be showing here. And also here we know that how Sundry switch to identify that one device is online or offline. For offline, this means first one, if the devices MAC address ARP actually the device the devices MAC address is already disappeared from the ARP table, so it will consider that switch is offline. Second one is that if the switch's port going down, it's down. So the MAC address under that port will disappear immediately. In this situation, the terminal also will be considered as offline. And also for the information of the offline devices, defaultly our controller will save it for 90 days. If you want to configure it longer, it can be up to 1000 days. So you can manually edit or change this spare storage time. And in standards monitoring also can be specified for one devices. You can check its history for disconnection, the type, other than ports. Uh, I mean the device type, because sometimes, for example, your laptop, right now your laptop, right, and then you open a hotspot in our controller. In this history, they will show you that the device type is changed from this computer laptop to hotspot. Yeah, if you open the hotspot at that moment. So, and also you can say that it can show the traffic of the devices. Second one is endpoint address binding. This one can let you bind the MAC address and IP address, and it also support approved free IP address. That's mean for this IP address, no matter what kind of devices is used, no matter what is the MAC address, it can connect to the network. And also we have approved required IP address. That's mean any devices, as long as they are using this IP address, it need approved. After it be approved, it can connect to the network. So here example, if you enable this function and you configure that maximum applicable IP address is 600, that's mean in the first 600 endpoints, there's no need to do the approve. The approve is automatically. But if the device is using the IP address that is the approval acquired address, even this device is in the first 600 endpoints, it still need to be approved because they are using it's using approved required address. Approved for IP address that's mean even after these 600 endpoints, as long as they are using this IP address, no need to do the approve. So after you approve, it can show your devices here. You can say that the MAC address, this is IP address, is already be approved. And if that device is not approved, it will be showing here. Also, same place, just approved. So you just choose these devices and click approve. Devices will approve and be online. And what will happen if that already approved endpoints get a new IP address? That means IP address changed. So it will be showing our security RVU endpoint security in the endpoint address changing. You can see that one devices is being discovered and this IP address changed. So you need to do uh, reapprove. So you need to approve it again for these devices. Go to the network. Um, and also support the endpoint and port binding. That means we will bind this device's MAC address into a specific interface. For example, if you enable this one in the wired access security and use the policy, if you configure that in auto approved 3, that's mean first 3 devices will be automatically approved. No need to manually put one by one. And for the fourth or fifth device, if we want to use network, we need to do the approving here. Same place like wired access authentication. The device certified, you check approve, it will be approved. After approved, it will show you here like devices. The binding will be endpoint and port binding. So if you after you approve this device go to internet, and now somebody move this device from one place to another place and try to and try to connect it to another port, so it will show uh, the one device is connected the port change. So this device will not allow to go to the Ethernet. So you need to approve it again. Also, Sundray also support endpoint type restriction. For this one is also for security reasons. For example, to prevent a hotspot, right, and also other illegal terminals access. For example, to prevent provide routers to be connected in network. So endpoint type is mainly identified by following measures in the Soundries solutions. First one is OUI library. In our controller, we have this library. So according to the device's MAC address, we will know the terminals information about these terminals manufacturers. So we will know the terminal type. And also another way is through the DHCP figure print. So this is a optional field information in DHCP message. So for some devices, we also can through this to know the network endpoint type. Mm, and also by the application specific DNS message or the unique DNS message by the phone system, we will know if that if a laptop is working as a hotspot. If there is endpoint type that cannot be identified, you can also manually customize the terminal type. So here's a note, and if you want to prevent the computer work as a hotspot, you need to make sure that a computer is not using the web proxy. If the computer is using web proxy, actually uh, it cannot be identified uh, if, even if the computer is enabled with a hotspot, because we cannot see that unique DNS message. So to configure this one is the same is also in the endpoint security, where the access security here you just enable this endpoint type restriction, and you can say that here if the we end the whitelist endpoint type, that's me. For this port, we only allow, for example, laptops, maybe the APs, cameras, others not allowed. So if someone connected other type of devices, for example, routers, so it will send us a message. If yeah, you can configure this one, the phone number, the receiver's phone number here. So uh, and also you can have the and also after that message, the illegal devices will be locked out for a period of time. This time is configurable, so you can see that defaultly is 1 hour, but you can configure it at least 1 minute and up to 24 hours. And in the clients and the points wired clients, you can see the list of these devices. You can see the endpoint type. You can see there are some still identifying for this one. Later we can see for this one later we can see how we can manually change it. And also if For example, if you're using the computer and the policy will only allow this port to connect to the computer. Right now, the computer open a hotspot, it will become a hotspot, a wireless hotspot. So we will block it. So you can, after we block it, you can find its MAC address in this blacklist. Endpoint security, endpoint blacklist. And here's what I'm talking about. You can manually just these devices is right now is identifying. So our system cannot identify what the type of this device. So you can use your manually configure it. You can configure it. For example, you know that is the projector. You can choose the projector. And also we can customize the terminal type. So the information for this one is in the first the main page of our controller. Here you can find in the objects, and then you choose the endpoint type and database. Here, for example, with their hospital, they purchase some new devices, and for these devices, for example, is a type of the machines for the operations, for the surgeon. So you can add that device's MAC address, and then some option DHCP option fifth field in here. So all the devices as long as a similar MAC address, and this optional add the information in the option 55, we will consider it is uh, this is the like the, for example, the surgeon devices or the operation devices. That this is the option 55, this field in the DHCP message. Also, our smart switch support the endpoint pure security. Uh, for this one, the main serial or the main value we can breed like first one, we can prevent the rogue uh, devices attack. For example, you are using some attackers remove the AP or the camera from the switch and they connect their laptop into your network, because we know that for the AP or the cameras, that kind of port usually don't have the authentications. So attacker just connect their laptop, they will go into our internet and access lots of servers. So for our smart switch, we can identify this kind of the change that changed from pure changed from a pure devices to a non pure devices. So we can block the new connections, and also we can do the PoE terminal automatic operation maintenance. For example, that your camera is connected to our AP, but one day the camera is not work normally, and right now we not there's our PoE switch is keep powering the devices, but there's no traffic from our from the camera, so our controller will stop to power the camera, and the camera will reset. So in this way we can automatically solve some network issue. For the configuration, you can go to the wired access security. Yeah, this is another part that endpoint peers security. Here you just enter the policy, you choose the port you want to monitor, and also the functions. You can choose the detect the rogue devices, or you can enable the auto reset PoE capable endpoints. And after that, you can let them to set the notification via short message or the app. Right now, for this app is not it doesn't have international version. So the only choice we have right now is short message. Yeah, the above is the security about the endpoints. Now let's see the security about east to west traffic security. For this traffic security, first you need to know that two uh, terms identify. I yeah, you need to know two terms. One is the protected area. For this protected area, we can consider it's like a server for the financial department, because this server is very potent and only the financial peoples can access. So from other uh, area, other people cannot visit this server. So we put this server in the protected area. So this only allows self to access other terminals, but other computers cannot access these servers. And also, for example, the printers, we can put in the trust area, because all the people want to use this a printer, right? So we can protect devices in the protect area, and in the trust area later we can say we can use the policy to blacklist some risky access, and also prevent our endpoints. The next one is the we through these kind of the policies we use to uh, secure is used to the protect the area and the trust area. We can prevent the virus. Remember, this is prevent, not the kill virus. I give an example. The eternal blue. This virus is attack our computers, the Windows, through the port 445, right? The one easy way to uh, prevent this virus to block the port 445. But if we use a traditional switch, uh, it's hard for the IT to turn off or turn off this 445 port for every computer in the internet. So if we use the Sundray switch, we can just use that policy to protect the area or trust area. And then another is also like the hack exploit Windows 32 M308 067, this virus, right? We can use our smart switch just in the controllers. We have a policy disable the port 139 and those 4 or 5 service port. So we can close the specific ports service port by one click. That is much convenient than the traditional solutions. So we say that in this trust area, if there's some dangerous uh, risking service, for example, the service support on the 445, and right now we know that in our internet we don't use this protocol, we can blacklist this one. So uh, everyone's port 445 cannot be visited by other areas. And then is the whitelist. This one, for the protected area, for example, you put a web server into the protected area, because other people need to visit this web server. So we can only allow this web service, but others, if the user want to attack the port 405, port 139, you cannot go to your net, go to the servers, because it's already blocked by our switch. So also in the east to west traffic security, if we go into the security overview and we check the traffic, the service access, we can see that which one is accessed the our switch, what time, and the location. So this is the service log help us do the troubleshooting and to monitor our network. And the next part is intelligent alert. You can see here we have the different, you can enable or disable these standards for these alerts. The alert for them, this alert is for the controller, and that this one is for the AP, and next one is for the switch. You can see, for example, the switch is offline. Yeah, the MAC address table elation, also the interface standards. If it changes, it became alert. And then for the alarm delivery rule, this one can configure the which switch one monitoring, which controller and APs. If the standards change, the alert can be set by short message or mobile apps. Okay, now let's see. Second part is wired authentication. For this one, our smart switch supports uh, port authentication and 802x authentication. So with these two authentication, we can meet the user requirement for unified authentication, both for the wired and the wireless access, and also that different account we give their different authorization, and also a different device type we give them different authentication methods. For the staffs, we can let them use 802x authentication. For the guests, we can let them use port authentication. For the some devices like the printers, we can use the open authentication. For the wired authentication, uh, our authentication can be based on the ports or the VLANs. For the port, it's easy to understand. Just like for this port, we need the authentication. For other port, we don't need it. This is a port based. For VLAN based, this means these ports maybe have multiple VLANs. For the VLAN one, we need the authentication, but for the VLAN two, we don't need the authentication. So for our switch, we have the ability to based on the port and also based on the VLAN. Here's a precaution that Sundray Smart Switch needed to be in feed mode to support this port authentication and 802x authentication. If you want to use this port authentication, also we call it the web authentication, you need to choose the suitable pre-authentication rule. Earlier we used the secure rule. If you choose the wrong rule, it can pop up the authentication page, and also you can do the authentication successfully, but after that the authentication page will repeatedly jump up, and you cannot use the internet normally. And then is the 802.1x configuration. Here is one optional choice for the guest VLAN. The purpose of this one, if the terminal is connected with the take cable, but cannot finish the 802 exocation because the device doesn't have this 802 one next client, so you can download that from the guest VLAN if that is your design. For the configuration, uh, for this configuration, you can see actually for this configuration, after the users finish authentication, we need to assign them a rule, right? But for this rule, that is different from the wireless rule. For the wireless rule, you can buy the lots of policies like the application control, uh, and those batteries, But for the wired users, we sign the rule, but this rule uh, only can be applied with the ACL policies, like the to uh, have the access control on the layer 2 or layer 3. So this is access at least is different from the wireless. So wired and wireless, we use the same user or guest database, but after the finish authentication, we use a separate the rule for the wired and the wireless authentication. Now we go into the third part, stanky configuration. For this, we will have additional uh, introduction about how we do the stacking with our smart switch. So first one is the forward data locking. For these features, first we need to know why we need this one. uh, from this picture, you can see that if we do not support this forward data locally, that's me. If the stack member receive the traffic, some will go in from the up leak, and some will go into the stanky leak, the peer leak. So you guess it brings lots of the traffic to this stanky cable. But if we support forward the data locally, that's me. Okay, this tank member receive the traffic. It all will be it will uh, it will forward the into the uplink directly. Will not send to the peer link. Only when this uplink is broken, so it will send to the peer link. So defaultly, you need to know that for Sundray, we already enabled forwarded data locally. And also for the stacking, we need to configure the uh, multi-master detection, because we know that the for stacking, two devices use the same IP address and MAC address. But after the stack system is split, so there will be two masters use the same IP address and same MAC address. So in your network, there's focus especially for the core switch. If you have two devices, same IP address and MAC address, that will be a disaster for the network, definitely. So we need to avoid this kind of things to happen. So we recommend to use this multi master detection. The first we can the first method is we can use the direct connection detections. We use a cable connect this to devices. So let me even the stacky cable is broken, we have another cable. Through this cable, we can check who could should be the master. And then another way is proxy detection. For this one, we need a third Sundray smart switch. This smart switch also should be support the stacking, but it's not a member of stacking. It's just a proxy for the detection. So that means if these two devices, the stacking is split, that two devices can talk through the third devices, so they can detect who is the master, who should be the master. And this one we know that for the Sundray smart switch, these models support the stacking. If we only use one port for stacking, Actually, so you can see that for these devices, all the ports support stacking, and for the RS53028EI 24S is 10 gigabit from 25 to 28. It supports the stacking, and also 20 gigabit port also support the stacking. Actually, you can see that all the fiber ports support stacking. And also for the available multiple port stacking, what the meaning of this one? That means if you want to do the stacking, and from the one switch there should be more than one port be used. So that means we need to choose the multiple port from the same chips. For example, this RS3352 for F this model, you need to choose the if you want to use the two port, you need to use the chip 49 port and 40 and 90 port from the chip one. You cannot use like the one port from the chip one and another port from chip two. In this way, you cannot do the stacking. So here's another precautions about stacking. I think first one that right now our smart switch only allows the two devices to do the stacking. Still do not support the 8 switches to do the stacking. And then for the stacking ports, it can be up to the 8. Uh, and this one I already discussed. And for the fifth, we need to know that if we use the port to do the stanky, if the port is 10 gigabit port, we have to use the 10 gigabit module. We cannot use the 1 gigabit module to do the stacking. So this is the stacking state after we finish the configuration. You can see two devices can become one devices. They have one panels. This port is force is like forced to for the ID manager is one devices because they only have one MAC address and also one IP address. Okay, now let's go to the last part, the hand and the core switches. We have hide core switch. So if you want to do the configuration for totally new switches, core switch, you need to you see this console cable. This console cable is from Sundray, and because this sequence light sequence different from the like Cisco other vendors, so you need to have this console cable from the Sundray. Actually, this console cable is come from the devices, so you don't need to purchase it from somewhere. Just check the box of the our devices. It has this cable inside. First, let's see the configuration of the VRP. You go to the configure mode and choose the go to the interface. In this interface, you configure the VRP's virtual IP address and the VRP, either the priority and then the preamp delay. Yeah, first one have the higher priority, second one have the lower priority, and then they have the same virtual IP address. So the configuration is finished, and this is the VRP. Let's see the for the stacking. So first thing is for the need to know that for the Soundreach high-end core switch, if you want to do the stacking, you need to have a dedicated 10 gigabit LPU light process unit. We also call it the service card. So this card will be dedicated for the stacking. So for the configuration, you go to the configuration mode and then go to this BSS module and enable the BSS function and then you choose a mode. If you want, if you just have the two core switch to do the stacking, just go use the normal mode and you configure the domain ID, two switches same, and the first one you can configure the member one, and another way you configure member two, and then for the first one you give the priority by 100. This one will be the master, and then another way is lower, and then you configure the BBS slot because you will insert this stanky LPU into the slot 7. So here you choose the 7. So after you configure this one, you also need to configure the negotiation neighbor time for timeout. So here you configure 10 seconds. After this one, you configure you need to save this one, write BBS configuration. So this one you need to save with this comment. If you just write, actually, after you reboot this switch, the your configuration of the gun is not be saved actually. So after you save this one, you restart the device and wait it for to reboot. And after you finish reboot, you configure this interface. Go to the BBS module again, and you configure the interface. For this interface, first interface you configure the BBS lead group. This one is the 2, and also another second port you also configure the BBS lead group 2. And you can the configuration of the peer device. Peer device is like say the lower priority but the same domain ID, different member ID, and then this is the same. Yeah, here because the former one is the group 1 and this one is group 2. So after this, we use the cable to connect the two devices. The stanky will be down, and then we can show through the show BBS current configuration or show BBS standards. We can see the standards about our stanky. So this is our configuration about the stanky. So here just show that the example that how we can configure our core switch. Our core switch right now is not the smart switch. It cannot be managed by the controller, but still we can use the common. The common is very similar with the Cisco. I think if you use this one in the project, it will be easy for you to understand its command lines. Okay, thank you for joining our training, and this is the sixth training. This is the third training. So see you the next time.